Yeah, so just quickly, right? You've gone back to Egypt and they have quarantined you. So it'd be interesting for the listeners. What happens? So the government, like, is there police by you making sure you don't run off and get in a cab and like go home? Are you like, is there a guard outside your hotel? Can you sneak out? Can they arrest you? Is there guards outside the building? Like, how does it work when they quarantine you for, say, 2 weeks? Do you
Well,
sneak
I'll
off to
tell
the
you
kebab
something.
van or something?
I'll tell you something. Well, I'm actually enjoying it very much at the moment. It's a five-star hotel, and it's a private room, free food, free everything. So I'm enjoying it.
Oh,
But
wow.
I have to stay in my room. What happened was 2 days ago, 3 days ago, I was going to the airport because they said that they need people to come back to Egypt. So my parents called, hey, you need to go up. Don't miss this chance. What's gonna happen to you? People in the UK are dying and stuff. It's crazy. I thought, okay, I'm gonna come back for you guys. So I go to the check-in. Then they tell me, okay, you're gonna go back to Egypt, but you're gonna stay in a hotel for 2 weeks. I said, okay, shall I stay? Shall I go? So, well, it's a funny thing. It's a funny thing. Now we're here, but we can't leave. Uh, we just need to stay in our rooms for like 14 days just to check that everything is well and stuff like that. So yeah.
So are you free to just walk out, or is there literally police and guards outside, like that will bring you back into your room?
There is police outside of the hotel and stuff, but in here, like, we're just because people are happy with their rooms and stuff. So okay, so somebody comes, hey, please don't leave your room, okay? Like, okay, thank you, okay. Like that. You see what I mean?
So you could literally just sort of go off and they wouldn't be able to stop you, or it's not that
No, no,
strict.
no. I can't leave. No, no.
They've got your
I'm
passport and they know where you live.
Well, they know everything about me now. Even the news are writing about what's happening and stuff. So it's okay. It's okay. I'm enjoying. I'm not focused on it actually. I'm just every day we have this course with the master Shri Akarshana. I don't know if the audience knows him.
Yeah,
Master
well, I do
Shri
anyway.
Akarshana, is one of the biggest names in the industry of personal development, law of attraction, meditation, and all the stuff
I
that
will
comes up.
soon be that name.
Well, you are already, man. You are. You need to tell yourself that.
I know.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at your Facebook picture, right? And I see you speaking in front of crowds. My vision board says I'll be hired by an event speaking production team and flown out to a country to speak. For example, there's a speaking event about spiritual enlightenment in Germany or in Egypt or in Paris or America, right? And they're looking for speakers. And they fly me out,
Yeah.
they fly someone else out, they fly the other person out. And I go on stage and I speak about my personal development thing. That is my
Yeah. Yeah.
vision of this year. That's on my vision board. And I look at your picture and I'm like, that's going to be me anytime soon. I don't know when this person's going to come into my life. It could be you, for example. Who knows? You could be doing events in, say, a month, right? And they're like, oh, this person, he's pulled out sick. He's got the virus, or, his uncle's passed away. He's going to the funeral. Do you know anyone? I'm like, actually, I do. And you call me up and you say, bro, can you get a flight to Egypt or wherever you are for an hour speaking event? I'm like, and they pay for the flight and etc. Pay for the hotel, extra couple hundred quid to enjoy myself, and I'll be out on the first flight. And I know the law of attraction, the universe is bringing this person. It might be your event that you hire me. It could be someone you know you're working for who says we need speakers, but I don't know who, don't know when, don't know how. It is gonna happen very soon. I'm on my 60th podcast. I've been doing it for a month, and I know I'm working my way along these like-minded people like myself. And before you know it, bang, you got your own production company and you fly me out. And I'm pretty sure that's how it worked for you, right? Before you started to do it.
Yeah. Actually, I have a similar story because actually, like, I've decided last year to stay in my room because I was going through lots of pain in my life in the past, and I had lots of awakenings and stuff in last year. So after that period of stuff flashing, I decided to just drop everything and surrender. And I said, whatever comes, comes. Whatever comes is the best thing. So one day I'm meditating in my room after I finished some concerts and stuff, and I just opened my YouTube, and then I see this picture of a Chinese man, and on was on December 22nd, I think, something like that. So I just opened the video. Something pushed me to open the video, and at the beginning of the video, I found this introduction. Hey, come here, Wealth Yogi, join it. It's an amazing program and stuff. I just signed up. Next day, they call me. Okay, Gabby, you're with us. So it's funny. Life happens, and so I didn't plan such things. And this is where I am at the moment, or where I was 2 days ago, 3 days ago. So it's just unplanned, like that. Like the more you do not think about it, the more you just flow. Because sometimes when you think about it so much, you create an image in your head, and if the image doesn't flow out the way you want it, you will be living in the future. So it's best you just let it be, and you enjoy both ways. In fact, you say that you want to be a speaker, like, or I want to be a speaker. In fact, we're doing it at the moment. So this is all that
We are.
matters. So this
We
is
are,
all that
yeah.
matters. Yeah.
Yeah, the only difference is we can't see those people watching, and actually more are going to be listening than there is going to be people in the audience watching and listening. So it's just a perception of your mind and how you see it. If you want to help people, we're doing it probably 5 times as much now. The difference is that you probably get paid more speaking on stage. It's a day out. You meet people. You have nice food. Whereas right now I'm in my conservatory, lying down on the couch because sitting is really bad for your posture. I'm interested to know that event on your picture. How did that come about?
Actually, this is one of my. This is a concert. It's not a concert. I'm a musician as well. So this was one of my dreams actually. I This was in university. I just wanted to perform on that stage for like a couple of years, and I wanted to do the song my way. So I tried several times, it didn't work. Then I get a call from somebody, says, "Hey Gabby, we've heard about you and stuff, and we want you to come and sing in this event, and there's gonna be lots of people and stuff." I said, "Okay, let me go." Then I go, and then I started. Oh my God! 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I was trying to get this opportunity. Now it happened in front of a very big audience. And you know what? That same opportunity happened 3 times in a row. So there are several several other moments on that stage, and
That's the
yeah,
thing, right? I don't know where that stage is, but what I will say is that you will probably end up speaking on that stage. A production company will hire it out and hire speakers, you, me, for example, or you'll have your own production company hiring speakers. You'll hire that exact stage. That will happen,
yeah,
no doubt, some point. It's
yes,
so
yes,
amazing,
soon.
right? When you let go of everything and know what you want and trust that it will come, you just let it go, and in perfect timing, it will come. If you say, I want it in 2 years, 2 years is passing by, you're looking at your watch, fuck, haven't got the call yet. Your energy goes low, you're getting depressed, your anxiety pops up, you're thinking, am I not good enough? Toxic. The universe will bring it to you at the perfect time when it's ready, when there's other circumstances are lining up. So when you just trust that it will happen when it's supposed to, it will happen. And it just flows. Like you get the call, it's no problem. I'll see you then. They're like, "Hey, are you not excited? Like I've just told you you'll be performing." And I'm like, "No, because I already knew. Like I was waiting for the order from the universe, so it's no biggie. Like I'll be at Madison Square Garden in 3 years' time." He'll be like, "Man, fuck you, just come over and speak." It's truly amazing when you let everything go. Everything comes. It's called quantum physics.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
observe that
definitely. And
particle, you make it a wave.
yeah, because you get to look at it in a different ways. That like maybe this will sound a bit advanced, but uh, or maybe it's too far there and it's open to lots of interpretations. But I'm gonna say it anyways. Well, the truth is I don't have control over anything.
Correct. Neither do I. I've realised.
There, even which character I'm gonna be, even which personality I'm gonna have, I do not control. And you know what? Even the idea of controlling the mind, it is very very funny because you try to control something that is just a bundle of thoughts. So why don't just flow? If you look at nature, if you look at the forest, for example, I stayed in a forest in South America for like a week or something, jungle, sorry. And then I realized that people were eating fruits and they were just throwing them into the forest. So at first I thought, hey, why are you guys doing this? This is called littering. Then they told me, no, everybody in the jungle is doing this and it is part of nature. So I don't know, it swept away a little bit, but what's the purpose of this? Purpose is that you are already built in with something that's natural, whether you call it the hidden enlightenment, the hidden your awakening. It's stuff that happens automatically. When you tap into that, life just happens naturally. You just flow. That's why you look at it, you find that the people who are most loved somehow by everybody, like whether they're like, the more they go, they flow, people flow, they start being loved by people. Let's say, for example, like somebody who's awakened, for example, you can take it like Bob Marley. Bob Marley is actually somebody who is awakened. I don't know if you know this fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, John Lennon, for example. Uh, those people are actually, and you find like people who are actually big and influencing people, like the majority of them, you find them that they're somehow awakened because people are attracted to people who are awakened. You know what I mean? It's like people who are actually awake to themselves, enlightened, whatever you can want to call it. But it's actually there's something that pulls them to 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 associate with you, to stay with you, because it's just natural. People like nature. People like to be happy. Those people are happy. Yeah.
So yeah, I've realised, right, through not having control, your life goes to shit. So you gain control of yourself and you try and have some kind of order in the things that you want. And then you realise when you observe the thing that you want, it changes its outcome. So you have to let it go, which means you don't have any control anyway. And I've always known there's a force at play. Call it God, call it universe, energy. There was always something controlling me that even I couldn't control. And I realized
Yes.
that when we are born, certain planets are aligned up there, right? Certain planets are in a certain position in the universe when you're born. They give off certain amounts of energy, which means if I'm born at this time and say Mercury and Pluto is here, I am now in sync with their energy. And if, for example, they only orbit every, say, 10, 20, 30 years, it means that the planet's going to be all the way over there and it's only going to come back around 30 years later. And if my energy is in sync with that planet, it means that no matter what I do, my energy is only going to become in alignment with that planet when it's here, which means no matter where I go on the planet, how often I trust my gut, how often I study, how often I think and do, it's still going to take 30 years to catch up to get what I really want because I'm in sync with that planet.
Yeah.
And until it
Yeah.
comes around, then I will flow in complete order. Like my whole life, I've always felt like there's this force against me. I'm 27 years old. I've always wanted to be a millionaire. I've always seen my vision. But no matter what I do, no matter who I meet, every time I flow, it doesn't quite get there. And 27 years later, the planet Mercury hasn't been around for 30 years. And that is the planet of money that's connected to my when I was born. And for an Aquarius, which is what I am, it's about money and wealth. So I've had this force where I haven't been able to get where I need to be. Coincidentally, that planet is coming back around 30 years later. I'm almost 30. Somebody once told me you'll be a millionaire by the time you're 30. I was 19. I said, fuck off, 30 years old. No way am I waiting until I'm 30. He says, you'll also find love at the same time and make money. I was like, fuck off. I'm 27. I'll have a girlfriend before then. He was right. I found the one at 27 and I'm on the path to getting money. So I've had to it's like this force was against me. And as you said, we're not in control. We think we are, but there's another force at play. It's almost like it's already written out. Not that God's written it on a whiteboard and he's like guiding you. It's all to do with our brain activity, is thoughts, is energy. And energy is connected to planets. And if the planet's close to you, it's giving off a lot of energy, stimulating your brain, thoughts, brain activity. And no matter how much you meditate, how many thoughts you do and don't procrastinate, that planet is still giving off your energy, and you're still going to be thinking and thinking and thinking. And no matter what you do, your thoughts are still going to be there because that energy from that planet is charging you. Um, so yeah, we have no control, and I have always known this, but really surrendered it only recently. The fact that if that planet is a frequency and I'm a very high frequency, my energy is going to be attracting to bigger energies like you, for example, and being attracted to the planet. Which means if I just go with my gut and flow, I will naturally be attracted to people like you, speakers, enlightened people. Not that I choose to be a speaker, it's just if you keep following a certain path in life, the same things happen. So you go in a business, you need a sales department, marketing department, you need a social media person, whatever. Spiritual people, you go drop shipping course, you do your Amazon shop, you do your shirts with your logos, you do your click funnel, you do your live stream, you do your speaking events. It's all the same thing. And it's like if I'm here, I'm gonna flow there because this energy is all there. And I've got no control over it. If I'm good at speaking, this will happen and this will happen and this will happen. It's just
Yeah,
we are not even in control. There's a force out there.
yeah, and you actually know something is that even our desires are not ours. Even
Absolutely.
that, even like I just talking to somebody today. I told her like, she was telling me like I haven't reached. I don't trust something like that. That everything happens for a reason. So I told her even the mistakes you made, there is no I that makes the mistakes. It is supposed to be a play of that. I don't know if people are getting me, but even the I that you think you are, it's just an idea.
Yeah, it's like if you
You
choose to
realize?
do something, it's in terms of energy, it's almost like that you need the balance, right? It's not right or wrong. If you need to go that way to balance up your energy to go that way, you need to go that way. But if you were focusing, I wanted that outcome, and then that happened and it wasn't what you wanted, you think, fuck's sake, and you go and try and make it happen again. But in terms of energy, it's like a seesaw. You had to balance that way to balance that way. Everything balances out. Like my parents wanted me 3 years before I was born. They wanted me so much. And then 3 years later, when they got IVF and they said, we approve and we're going to give you a baby, she relaxed. Thank you, I get my child. All of a sudden, they give birth to me naturally. And they say, sorry, but I'm pregnant now. We don't need you anymore. So she let go of this need to have a kid. And then I was born. But what it's saying is that everything is balanced. The fact that I didn't come out then means I wasn't ready to come out then. So it's wrong because you didn't get what you wanted. But in terms of the universe, it was just balancing out the chi and balancing out the energy. So everything that happens, it's not what you envision. That's why you got to let it go because what you think isn't actually what you want. It's just kind of aligning you down that path. It's like you get your
Yeah,
girlfriend, you want another one.
yeah, 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 yeah,
I've realised that it's essentially you want something in the direction of north. When you get there, it's northeast. Every
yeah,
time
yeah,
you throw something out into the water like a fishing reel, it's just slightly to the left. There's a thing I heard, must have watched on YouTube when I became enlightened at 21. There was a guy fishing in the stream for hours and hours and hours, no fish. The current was going, say, that way, yeah, straight. And then somebody says, try fishing just slightly northeast. So the current was going a different way, and all the fish came. He was slightly off because the current was going, say, north to south, but the fish were going northeast to southwest, and so he just turned his rod a little bit. Everything came, and like everyone focuses on the thing that they think they want because they think it's there. Actually, true north is just going where the fuck it is. Going north is where you think it is because you're told X marks the spot. No, that's just roughly, mate.
yeah, 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 yeah. Actually, it's very interesting how there's lots of things around the world regarding different levels of consciousness because uh, there's a whole system of levels of way to improve yourself regarding the level of consciousness that you're in. So I know what's the most important thing to work like. There is lots of people who do lots of yoga, lots of tai chi. This is a path as well. This is a path that leads to the same thing. There's something else where people decide to be strictly religious. Actually, this is another path. People who decide to be intensely devotional to serving others, another path as well. So it's funny, actually. Actually, you know what? Towards the end, is that sometimes people being evil could be another path as well. I
As
don't.
sad as it is for the person who's being treated bad by the person who's evil, it's energy balancing out. Like you kind of have to go through pain and suffering in order to feel trapped and fight. And that extra power you got forced you through that hell to heaven. Like I, you know, I was not liked growing up. No one liked me, and it was always when I'm a millionaire, you'll regret it type of thing. I forgive them all now, and that mindset's not the same. But the point is that that force of being told no one likes you, blah blah blah, was I'll fucking show you. So again, that
Yeah,
negative energy charged me. Um, and it's like, well, if they didn't say that, would I be like I am? And the answer is, you don't know because everything. When I used to think, right, everything people say everything happens for a reason, and I thought to myself, well, we just want to find a good thing to come from it. And it wasn't that it happened for a reason. It's just you trying to work out, okay, this is a shitty situation, my car crashed, but it's an excuse to get a new one. But only recently, after questioning myself again and again, this thing about the balance of energy in the good and bad. It's about getting you there. It's almost like our energy is our thoughts, and our thoughts go down certain paths. For example, to get an older car, knowing that it's probably going to go wrong because it's old, and you're going to have to spend a lot more money on it, but that has taught you to only get a newer car. Because if you're going to spend money on repairs, you might as well wait an extra few months to get a newer car, and there'll be no issues. So you are meant to get that old shitty car to have money lost in order to save up and get a new car. Something like that happened for a reason. Well, why would anybody want me to do that when I could have just done that? But I do feel we learn through pain. Like, you only remember to bring your jacket if you freeze your bollocks off. You can't be like, bro, can I borrow your jacket? Because if you get used to just borrowing your friend's jacket when he's out, you're not going to remember to bring your own. So you've got to suffer in the cold in order to be responsible and to bring your jacket. I do believe we have to learn through, sadly, through pain. I mean,
Def-
you can't tell somebody that's you're going to end up doing that and that's wrong, because they're going to do it. A dog will always sniff it wants to go.
yeah,
And
yeah. Well, it actually, Oliver, you're correct. Yeah, you're right. It actually depends on. I know this is gonna sound very, very complex to a certain mindset and to a certain way of people how grew up, but it really depends on what you did. Let's say in a previous life or something, because sometimes you find somebody who is extremely blissed out. Like, for example, let's take Mother Teresa, for example. And there are some beings who are actually, regardless of what happens to them, saints, for example, they're just happy. They're just happy because maybe in a previous life or something, they had to go through all the pain. They had to go through all of the suffering. But yeah, maybe on a certain level, there could be suffering. But again, like there's somebody like there's a guru called Paramahansa Yogananda. I think you know him, right?
say again.
Paramahansa Yogananda.
Not by the name. I might know by the face.
You know, it's the guy, it's the guru that Steve Jobs said it's the only book I have on my iPad. You know that? So, some,
Vaguely, but no, I can't really remember. But go ahead.
okay, it's okay. So you just so basically he says that he was asking another famous guru, it's called Ramana Maharishi, and he told him, okay, what about why did God allow suffering? He says, actually, suffering does not exist. What suffers is another idea inside of your mind about how things should be. Because nature doesn't complain. You look at it. What suffers is another idea of, hey, I'm Gabby, oh, I'm Oliver, things need to go this way. If they don't go this way, I suffer. Hey, the world needs to be happy. This, lots of things that are not allowing us to stuff because of the identity that we think who we are. Because if you attach yourself to something, one day you're gonna have to detach, and the detachment is gonna be painful. You think about it.
Yeah,
You
it's
get
so
what I
true.
mean?
Like, yeah, if somebody hasn't got any money and they can't buy the things that they want, and their walls falling apart, and their cars falling apart, and their beds full of mice, for example, you look at everyone else and you see, well, that's not what I've got, and I'm suffering because I can't have this life. But that's a comparison to what that person's got, and they've only got that because they've got more money. But their money is just a form of trade. And if you closed your eyes or didn't go out your house, you wouldn't see iPhones and laptops and fucking Trump towers and stuff. You just see like what's around you. So now you're comparing. So now you think, like, okay, well, I'm in a suffering state because I don't have this and that person does. Well, it's in your head, because if that's all that you've known, that's everything to you. It's like some
Yes.
countries, they live in like tin shacks, for example, and they like just stuff you see on the news, for example. They're just like tin shacks. They're so many people with their donkey and they're carrying the food. They're making nice food, right? American with a big mansion will see that as like, oh, poverty, like just how could they live like that? But you go into those villages, so much love, so much care, so much nurture. They're so giving. They're sharing their food, and to them, that's all they've ever known. So that's not poverty to them. That's just what they know. And they look at big bricked houses, and it's like, why the fuck do you need that for? It's just you. And then we look at them like, how the fuck could you live like that? It's all circumstantial. It's in our
Yeah.
heads.
It's all in our heads actually, because
Everything.
it's even what we're going through right now. It's mainly like some people would say that Hey, but actually people are dying. Like if you actually trace it back, it is also because people have adjusted themselves to a level of consciousness where it allows their immune system to be the way it is, if you think about it. Because if you're drinking good water, if you're actually vegan, and if you're actually limiting the carbon and limiting all the toxins and stuff and the slaughter of animals, if the consciousness level of consciousness was actually up, I don't think that virus would be here. Even if it was here, it would just pass. Like like it would just actually it just comes and goes. Like there would be no real real threat. You get me, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so imagine like you've got loads of trees in a swamp, yeah? Eventually there's loads of trees and they all grow too close together. One tree has fungus. It spreads to the next tree, it spreads to the next tree. Before you know it, you've got the whole swamp of trees rotted by this one fungus. And then all the trees sort of they become earth and it grows again, the cycle, right? Flu, for
Yeah.
example, microorganisms attacking the weak so that you're left with the strong. And then you just keep going forward in life. And then there's a new flu and it takes down the weak and you're left with the strong. It's almost like you go to 8 billion, you go down to 4 billion. You go to 8 billion, you go down to 4. Now, if you've got a family member, you're going to be straight down the hospital saying, save my gran or my mum, just like I would. Subjectively looking at it, objectively, in terms of humanity, the only way you can solve this is if you understand nature and go back in time. When there's lots of trees, as I've said, bacteria spreads from when they're too close together, it takes it all down. When there's a wildfire in Australia, too many trees close together, it sets the other one alight. Too many bats in a cage, chicken in a cage, flu, the bats catch it, the chickens catch it, all the chickens and bats dies. If there's loads of humans on the tube in London, everyone gets it. The weak die and the strong live. Unfortunately, that is the cycle of life. Governments trying to play God, companies making vaccines, making antibiotics, making vitamins, making steel legs, heart transplants, new brains, new ears. You know, that's good if you are somebody who needs a new ear, needs a new heart, needs a new liver. You get to live a second life because technically you should be dead, right? That's just
Mm.
the benefits of being an evolved human being, right? But the reality is that if your body is weak and you need this thing like a new heart, or you need to be on constant medication, in the real world, your body is weak and you should be dead basically because without man and its medicine, you wouldn't have survived. And what's happened is we're so used to medicine healing everyone. Chemotherapy for cancer, for example, cures for diabetes, cures for dementia, vitamins and everything. We're used to humans just living, and if there's a problem, you go to the doctor, and the doctor saves you. It's an illusion. We're not supposed to be there. All these people, they would always have another problem. If it wasn't heart disease, it's stroke. If it's not stroke, it's diabetes. If it's not that, it's cancer. If it's not that, it's dementia, right? But
Yes,
you
yes.
kind of just work it out along the way. But in the real world, let's just say a lady called Sue is 40. She's got diabetes in a parallel dimension. When she's 45, she gets a stroke. Then she survives. When she's 50, she has a heart attack. She changes her diet. When she's 55, she has a bit dementia. When she's 60, she loses her leg, and then she dies at 70. Right? But man kept her alive from 40 till 80. In the real world, if there was no medicine, she would have died at 40. The flu, the coronavirus, killed Sue at 40. Not because the government haven't given out enough face masks or there's not enough vaccines or because Boris Johnson didn't, give enough masks in the hospital. It's people who are weak are going to get taken down by nature. People who are strong are going to survive. If you've got a big tree, a big oak tree amongst small trees, that fungus might not take down that big tree like it would the other small trees. And unfortunately, man can't play God. You can try, and we do, but it's an illusion because you take away that oxygen mask when someone needs it to live, they die. And yes, if that's a grandparent, like for example, my granddad was on an oxygen mask thing, he kept himself alive for 5 years. I said to myself, there's no way that man's going to live any longer. I'm looking at him. He's coughing and spluttering. I'm like, Jesus Christ, it's more suffering being alive on that thing than being dead. And then he died actually a year later or so. So I tell my dad a moment ago, the way out of this is to accept the fact that you can't play God. And if it's not the corona, it's swine. If it's not swine, it's Ebola. If it's not Ebola, it's measles and mumps. Measles and mumps are coming back. The icebergs are melting, and there's viruses coming back to life that existed thousands of years ago. You know this shit. Simple things like diet and how it's affecting us, and water. You're trying to play God. The only way out is to sort of go from 8 billion down to 4 billion. Pray it's not one of your loved ones. And then because of there's less people on the planet, the NHS is less stressed. They say, more money to the NHS, more staff. No, not more staff, not more money. Plenty of money, plenty of staff. Too many fucking people shouldn't be here because they're weak immune system, because they've got a weak immune system. Just imagine how many people are going to pass away because of this. How less stress National Health Services will be because of the less amount of people with diseases coming in. Let's just say that this Sue person comes in every 5 years. Well, this Sue person sadly passed away. So now the NHS aren't going to have the Sue types of people come in every 5 minutes, which means there's going to be more beds for other people. Sadly as it is, it's the truth of life.
Yes. Actually, it is. It is the way it is somehow. I hope that people somehow like. I know like it is like the way of life. It can be said that life is just suffering, and in your words, like the weaker get, like people need to start awareness. The weak are gonna go. I understand that very well. It is that actually the thing is that nobody dies really. Like it's just the body that dies. So it is not that tragical that if something like it is sad because it is the attachment that goes away, the attachment to the person. But again, me and you are not gonna in this body that we're speaking through as well. It's not gonna stay. It's gonna go as well. So maybe it was their time to go, and we will go. The body will. So we will not go. The body will go one day. But I just like what I hope for is that one day people are actually gonna share this beautiful consciousness that's within us all, and in this earth, because heaven cannot be postponed to future. Heaven is here if we find it. Heaven is here if we find it. So that's why if people just start to see that, people start to see that there's lots of things beautiful here, and that they can experience lots of joy as well. For example, if they even decide to change their diet, like vegan food can be as tasty as meat, chicken. You can do anything. You can do anything. There's lots of options actually.
If you look at people who seem happy on the outside, right, they're actually very unhappy on the inside. And that negative vibration is why you are weak in the first place, and why, for example, a virus can kill you quicker than someone who's positive, right? What does that say? It says that so many people are trapped inside themselves and they're unhappy. Why? It's all the same things. They're not doing something they like. They're not eating well. They're not drinking well. They're not sleeping well. They've not got connections. They've not got love and family. All these things you can get from just simply like your neighbor. Like they're things that anyone can get at any moment in time. But what's incredible is even if you tell somebody this, that your neighbor is searching for a connection like you can't just knock on their door because you haven't got the confidence to. So it's how do you solve a problem which can be solved by them, and yet you tell them how to solve it, and that science says you cannot solve it because of the energy isn't strong enough or the attraction isn't there to get you out your door. And I've realized that there's so many humans on the planet, so many different tribes, belief systems, biologies, energies, that when you look at human race as a whole, you're thinking, okay, human needs to do this if humans come together, and if humans should do this. It's not as simple as that. We are trying to connect and help people who are like us, searching for help and enlightenment, and we are our own tribe. And if somebody else wants to become part of the tribe and, share wisdom and knowledge, we will. It's kind of like welcoming that elephant into the tribe. Like you look in the Amazon, for example, there's loads of elephants and there's a baby elephant, and mum got killed by a lion, and they welcome that small elephant in. The more people on the same vibe, the more energy you get. But in terms of the bigger picture, evolution, before we had online and trains and planes and cars, the Chinese tribe, the Indian tribe, the Egyptian tribe, the Roman tribe, the English tribe were just small tribes. And we might have found how to fish well before the Chinese knew how to fish, or you might have created a plane well before America created a plane, or you might have climbed a tree and ate fruit well before those did. It's not just all humans evolved at the same point, you know? So we've all evolved differently. And you look at, for example, people who are unhappy and depressed. Let's just say they keep reincarnating until they become pure and enlightened. They may have to do that loads and loads of times, which could be 2,000 years from now. But we, for example, we've already been doing that for the last 2,000 of years. So we kind of we are evolved in our species. So we've become from like an ape to a Homo sapien to a human being, right? We've done that journey of evolution. But when we look at other people who are suffering, what if they only started that journey, say, 400 years ago? You know, we are seeing ourselves as humans and we want to help everyone and we're not the same, but we're not the same. That's the whole point. We have two eyes and two ears, yeah, but we're not the same biology. We're not the same energy. Energy is charged as they go through the universe, and that person who is weak, for example, might have to get the flu, get Ebola, die millions of times, and then they become enlightened, for example. And we see it as, oh my God, this person died of corona. Fuck Boris Johnson and the NHS. It's like, no, in terms of the bigger picture, sometimes our energies just have to, they become weak and they become stronger until they become like us, strong. And that you can't change humanity because we're just small different tribes. The cow in Spain is different to the cow in America and the cow in England. The milk tastes different. Or the oranges in America are this different flavour to oranges in fucking Pakistan. We're not the same.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a
yeah.
sad, it's a sad truth, but it is the sad truth.
But it's needed. There is no actually, Oliver. I want if you may allow me to say something, and I'm gonna fix a certain word that you just said. There is no sad truth. There is no sad truth at all. Usually, the sad truth is us thinking that things should be a certain way, but in fact, it's all beautiful because it is all a balancing out. For example, if you're feeling sad and life sends you somebody to balance those emotions to help you, but the sad situation is no longer sad because it had to happen and remove you from something, but life straight away, naturally, biologically, you will start to feel better after a day or two. Somebody will come to make you feel better. Life is constantly a balancing out, so it's not really sad. It is just like there is no sad. There is no sad. Usually, the sad thing is that our idea, because again, we need to all look at it and become aware of it. Is that life is just happening, and even the bad people who did the negative things, it is part of the happening that we have no control about. It is part of the play. So even the world not being in harmony, it is part of the play. It is all part of the game. So I would say that nothing is not in harmony. Everything is in harmony, even the disharmony, even the bad people doing bad stuff. It has to happen. Consciousness is doing that because again, if you look at it, we may never know the types of realms, the other realms or other stuff that exists other than this world. And maybe this world is a place for enlightenment for some. Maybe it is a place for hell for some. You know what I mean? Like it could be a place of hell for some. It could be a place of transition for some. They stay here for a while. Yeah. So like it is funny. It is just like, you know what? You can never know. You can just be. You can just and you can just, with the moment you realize this simple secret that you just let it be, all trouble stops. All trouble stops. No more trouble anymore.
So I agree. It's not the sad truth. When I say sad truth, I'm saying it from a subjective point of view, meaning if somebody who had somebody in front of them whose auntie or nan or sister or brother died from it, okay, you'd have to be compassionate and say, look, it's the sad truth that she had a weak immune system and the virus got her. It's the sad truth. You're right. The word is about compassionate. In terms of the bigger picture, it's energy balancing itself out, right? The weak will die, reincarnate, hopefully stronger, and the strong will, well, they already reincarnated from a weak past life. So it's just this nothing. It's a balancing thing. As you said, you go left, it goes right. You go right, you go left. In terms of energy, right, in terms of the universe, it's two energies, negative and positive, yin and yang, sperm and egg. It's made up of two things. So imagine that our parents are identical, right? If they were exactly the same frequency, they would repel, which means they could never mate. So if you've got two magnets the same force, they repel. So you only attract when there's a difference. So which means that your parents aren't going to be exactly the same in energy, which means you're going to be slightly off balanced. So again, everything is in imbalance. You go to the parent for love when the father's too harsh. You go to the father to protect you when the mum is weak because she doesn't know how to fight, for example. Everything is a balancing act. The mother lion will love the cubs, but she will also fight another cub who's trying to take the cubs away. It's the balance thing. So,
Yeah.
yes, you're absolutely right. It's all in harmony because harmony is about the balance of the two energies. Because if it was just one energy, we don't know what would happen because we don't know because it's not one. It's two, but it all becomes one because it's all energy. But in terms of how it all works, it all starts from two things like water and oxygen to create the first bit of life. A cow has to mate with a cow.
Mm.
But the sad truth to a human is if you lost your mother, for example, that is sad. But in terms of energy, it's just nature and life. That's what I meant by sad truth. So I agree with what you're saying. It's not the sad truth. Subjectively, it is, but objectively, it's just life and nature doing what it's doing. So yes, you're
Yes.
absolutely you're
Yes.
absolutely right. I was trying
I
to
just
be
I,
more
I had to
more more
I had to also
empathetic to the listeners.
yeah. I had to. Perhaps maybe like yeah, you understand that some people are actually listening to this and like some people like they're saying, okay, but it is too far fetched or perhaps I'm being too positive and stuff. So I don't mean it that way at all, but it is if you look at it, it is actually like nothing is ever for the bad. Nothing is ever for the bad because even if you do bad, even if something bad happens, it is again like something good will happen from it because again you're saying that something it is bad and there is awareness behind that bad. So when you become aware of something, well now you're aware. If somebody's stealing your house, then you know that somebody's stealing your house. I don't think nature, which is still inside of you, will do something about it. Like if you know that somebody's stealing your house, you're not gonna keep going allowing it. Automatically, it will stop. If somebody's gonna fall, you're gonna automatically pull his hand. So that's nature acting through you. So when you find the thief, which is usually the mind, hidden under lots of layers, you can call it the mind, you can call it the voice, you can call it the devil, you can call it Indian term Maya, whatever. But is that's the thing we have to look at. Like we have to observe this thing because it is the thing that gives us suffering. Identification with the mind, identify with the mind, and that's what we need to become free from. When you start to become free from that, everything just flows in harmony, complete harmony.
So two things, right? Um, if somebody burgled your house, you'd see it that as a bad thing. Okay, you go out and get a Ring doorbell, for example, or security CCTV, which means that now no one's going to burgle your house again. So one bad thing happened, which prevented, say, 50 bad things and 50 bad burglaries, because now that security has stopped yourself from being mugged. So you see that as a bad thing. What if, for example, that your father called men to burgle the house to get insurance money to take yourself out of a country that was going through war, and now you live in another country which is peace and love and harmony? So the mother and the kids might see that as bad, but that wasn't bad. That was planned. That was good. Because if you were still in that situation of war, for example, in Iran, then that's really bad. But then you've gone to America, for example, because of that situation. So that's not bad at all. That's a blessing. That's God helping you. So bad is a perception of what we think is good and bad. That's why you say there's no good and bad. If you think that is bad, then it's bad. But who says it's good or bad? It's a perception of what do you ideally want or not want. Um,
Yes,
I
yes,
forgot.
indeed.
I forgot what I was going to
It's,
say about the second thing.
it's
Yeah,
beautiful,
forgot
by
it.
the way. It's beautiful what you just said. It's very beautiful. It is definitely, yeah, it is definitely. It doesn't. It's not. You cannot. What you just said, not anybody can say. Just so you know, what you just said is very, very advanced. because it takes a mind that has because you can find somebody who's 95 and he's still complaining about the government. And it's very funny. It doesn't have a limit. It doesn't have a limit at all. But you find somebody who's 7 years old and something like that, and he's preaching about wisdom and stuff. So it is really funny that like you can be the oldest person, yet you have the most foolish soul inside of you, and you can be the youngest person, and your presence already is just bringing lots of peace around, and just automatically without you doing anything. Because some people you can just sit around with, and you automatically feel peace. For example, when before we started this call, man, I think we had lots like me and you, we had lots of we were sitting silent for a while. I don't know if you noticed this. You remember at the beginning? We were just sitting quietly. We didn't speak or anything. And again, because the mind is not running about, it did not feel awkward at all. But if you're sitting in a situation where there's lots of people around and it's a social conditioned setting, it's very conditioned, what you should say, what you should say, there will be the energy will be created because we listen to the mind of how things should be. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, you should say something, and then you're fighting. It doesn't feel right, but I need to say something, and it shows, and you feel the energy, the awkwardness in the situation. But if you know if you're confident in, and if you're not following your mind, whatever position you're gonna be placed in, nothing will seem awkward to you. Nothing will seem awkward to you because again, it will be you'll become aware of others' energy, but again, you're aware of the things inside which used to cause you discomfort. And when you no longer follow that, you start to become free of that. And nothing starts to bother you anymore. In fact, whatever situation you're in, you just have like, you don't have, but you just become, you just be. Because again, if somebody's anxious or anything, it is a desired outcome from the current situation he's in. Things are not going out the way he is. Like, say, for example, a girl meets a nice guy. For example, just a little example. She meets a nice guy, and then she's struggling to talk to him. Why is she struggling to talk to him? Because she's having the idea that she wants to find a way to impress him, and she's not finding the way to impress him. Therefore, she is shaking, and she doesn't know how to speak. But let's say the opposite thing. She's just being herself, and she's just staying quiet, and she doesn't have any expectation. She will just be normal, and maybe she will get the guy in the end. Why? Because she's herself.
Do,
So,
do you know an amazing story, right? As I said, I've been single for my whole life for 27 years. I always knew that I'd end up with the one because of my extreme wisdom and energy and knowledge, and she'd have to understand me, have the same brain, etc. On our first date we ever met, we went for dinner. We sat at the table in silence. We were holding hands. We weren't saying anything. We were silent, and we just closed our eyes. Bearing in mind, I've just met this person, and like an hour before, we're sat at the table just holding hands, silence. She's tickling my arm. The energy was flowing. There was no awkwardness. It was just silent. We didn't need to speak. We spent more time in silence than we did speaking. On the first date, 1 hour after meeting her, she's the one. She's the one. But the point is this, that we were silent. She said she loves one thing she loves about me is that I don't need to speak and we're still connected. You can go out with your friends. You don't have to talk shit. You don't have to talk at all. Shut your mouth and just be present. Drink your beer with them next to you. The fact that you've got another human there next to you. You don't need to talk bollocks about how you fuck this other girl who you know's bollocks, right? Just shut up and just be present. And again, it's amazing what you said. People fill silence with bollocks because they feel it's awkward, because they feel it is awkward. Who the fuck says it's awkward? Society? Oh, orcs. Hashtag awkward. Oh, it's awkward, isn't it? Why is it fucking awkward? Why is it awkward? Why do we have to speak? Do you see fucking cows speaking in the field? No, but they're still next to each other grazing the grass. um, but yeah, it's true. If you look at like, let's just say teachers, mentors like Monk and Buddha, for example, right? We think that the older person knows the most because he's been around for the longest. Absolute nonsense. There's more 10-year-olds that know more than more 90-year-olds, probably, right? Our knowledge is of an ancient soul. So we've learnt from all the ancient wisdom people have passed down knowledge from Buddha to Monk to Jesus to Muhammad, whatever, yeah? To you, to me, to whatever the other guy is at your wealth yogi thing. So we're essentially the oldest souls on the earth, okay? But just because we're young doesn't mean that we can't be preaching something that an older 60-year-old should, for example. Bob Proctor, he's 80 years old. Yeah, he's a fine example. His wisdom is the same as his age. People like us who know this type of shit, we're very young. Who says we can't be preaching older people like our parents? Like I taught my parents all this shit. Eventually, I had to parent them because they were preaching all their bollocks about what you on about, just get a job, blah 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 blah. What the fuck you on about? Power of the mind, blah blah blah. And I taught them and I parented them. So who says that just because you're older, you should be teaching that person? Who says you got more wisdom because you're older? It's going to become a point where teachers are in classroom teaching students who are learning off YouTube. Back in my day, there wasn't a YouTube, so our knowledge came from teachers. But very soon, probably it's happening now. You've got teachers teaching students something that they've been taught from university in their textbook, and the students like nonsense because on YouTube, wealthy yogi master said that there isn't no God, so your thing about God and cause and effect is bollocks. And she's going to be like, "Pipe down, Jonathan. I'm teaching. Who do you think you are?" And you're going to put people down with superior knowledge, and they're going to think there's something wrong with them. Those are people who change the world, who question knowledge.
Yes, 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 indeed. And actually, it is more of a, like even Master Shri Akarshana, he says something. He says like, like sometimes your energy does more than just mistaken right or wrong. Because if your energy is strong enough in expressing a certain thing, it will already get lots of people. But you know why lots of people are fighting, regardless, even about religion, about sects, about whatever? It's because they want to convince somebody who is right. But the moment you just like, it's in a, I don't know, a certain situation or stuff like that. My point spoken about. But the moment you actually stand grounded in your vision, actually lots of people will join you. Because how do you share your light? You share it with one person, then the other person shares it with another person. There's a passage of the same thing. So one of the things he says, like he says this. It's a nice quote actually. Whatever somebody says, tell him you're right. Tell him you're right. Because just by somebody speaking a certain way, Oliver, you can actually know that you can actually know the level of consciousness that they're in. Somebody says, "Okay, I'm trying to open my third eye, but I'm unable to do so. Oh my God, I'm trying to fix it. By the way, I don't know if my lower chakras are open. My heart chakra still needs lots of work. Oh man." Now you know the problem. You know the problem in him is like he is the problem, not the chakras. He is the problem.
Oh
So
my God.
it is.
What would you say? So we've been speaking for like 15 minutes, right? Never met you before. What would you say my level of spiritual awareness is, for example? Because you said you can tell by how people speak.
You're very strong, by the way, man. You're very strong. Uh, you're very, very strong. You stand your ground, by the way, and you're quick to learn. I believe. Don't know. I've just done this reading like 2 weeks. I started that. We're sitting in a group of people who dwell yogis, and I started doing it with some people, and some people started cheering and stuff, and I said, "Oh my God, this is actually working." So maybe it's happening right now. I don't know, but it
Try
is.
it. Keep going.
It is actually you're a very strong person, and actually you've been rejected by you've been rejected by society somehow. I feel that, and you don't fit in with normal people anymore. Like you try to make it work, but people sometimes they view you as somebody who's like here is the crazy one, right? Am I correct?
3 out of 3. Keep going, Mr. Psychic Man. I'll send you the bank money later. Keep going.
So yeah, but you need to keep going that way. You need to keep going that way because one day those people are gonna realize the treasure that you have. Because those people, I think most of your surroundings, like people around you, family, friends, somehow, who are not on your same level of consciousness, are the ones suffering the most right now. And you're not suffering. because you realize the reason why you're suffering. So you keep going that way, man, because speaking, coaching, mentoring is gonna be the biggest commodity in the next coming time. Because uh, I think Corona is not the end somehow. I think more stuff will come. More stuff will come. Corona is not the last thing, because stuff needs to happen in order for people to raise their awareness, and people need to awaken more from their illusions, from their noise, from their stuff, from their garbage that they're living with. People are living with lots of garbage. So back to you, man. Just keep going the way you're going, and don't listen to people who are telling you, like, because like now people regarding job, you see, you followed your heart. Jobs now are crashing. Jobs are gone. Jobs are gone. Like, for example, before coming to Wealth Yogi, I told my family I'm gonna go for the investment. I'm gonna pay all the more than 10,000. I'm gonna have to go for it. They told me no, just graduated, go for a job. But I said no. Something is telling me not to do that. So imagine if I actually went with my family and decided to do a job. Now the country is on lockdown. UK is on lockdown. So it's all lockdown. So it was wise to follow. So keep going, man. Going, the world needs you. You have no idea, man. Conscious beings, they need you at the moment. Saying that you're a conscious being, you need to make them as well.
When I was younger, right? When I was when I was say 14 or 15 or 16 or whatever, I changed my Facebook job description to motivational speaker because I used to always go on to my friends about you shouldn't be smoking, shouldn't be drinking, and all that nonsense. And then people are like, God, you should be a motivational speaker. And just for a laugh, I put it at that. Well, obviously, I truly believe that what you first think to do is what you're going to do forever. Think about it. Somebody has a passion for football, they go to other things and they always go back to football. You know, a painter will always go back to a painter. Whatever
Yeah.
you are at a certain age, it's like a cutoff point. You're probably going to be that forever for some reason. I don't know why, but it's just what it is, right? Um, Talking has always been something that I've wanted to do. And I used to joke growing up, not joke because it probably will happen, but I used to say I'm going to make my own religion. So what I mean by that is a set of morals or beliefs of how to live. For example, Jesus, you need to forgive, you need to love, you need to accept people, you need to listen, you need to understand. Well, I'm no different to Jesus, you're no different to Jesus. You're just explaining it in your own way. So, for example, the modern day thing would be forgive, love people, don't bully online, um, allow people to speak. It's like a modern version. Thou shalt make sure my food is clean. Thou shalt make sure my water's filtered, for example, right? Just a modern day version of the Bible. Because it's all the same thing. It's just like a modern day based on now. And I used to say, I'm going to create my own religion, my own belief system, and essentially going on stage, helping people find enlightenment and heal them through my own experiences and what I had to do to become enlightened, blah, 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 blah. That is essentially a religion. A religion is a belief system, believing in a certain way of living your life, forgive people, love people, eat well, sleep well. So, yeah, everything I visioned will happen. And as I said, my next stage in life is to speak on stage, have people come watch me speak, have events around the world where I hire people to speak with me. So, an all day
Yeah.
of different speakers around the world, different stories, different backgrounds, and people just come and watch us speak. I actually want to take over the Tonight Show, Jimmy Fallon's Tonight Show. In 3 years' time, I want to take over his talk show for 6 years. But for 3 years up until that, I'm doing the podcasts. That will go to public speaking events. And then I'll get a name around in the industry that I can then say, I want the talk show. And then I'll go to the talk show. But when I finish in 6 years, I'm not going to rely on the acting industry, the TV industry to give me work. I'll go straight back to preaching and teaching because the Tonight Show will give me a name still. It'll keep it going, but then I can just travel the world speaking, enlightening people, preaching my knowledge, and I've got like the TV industry to fall back on. And that's pretty much what I want to do: change the world, travel the world, make schools, you know, um, put homeless people in a hotel for a year in London, for example, just gather them all up, hotels paid for a year. Stuff like that, amazing stuff. Go into say Australia and people who lost their homes, you build houses for them, like real humanitarian stuff that makes you feel good. That's why I want loads of money. I'll get my house, get my car, get my parents a house, and then the rest of it, give it back into the world. Just fucking mate. If I'm in Tesco's, a shop, somebody's in front, I'll give them 20 quid for their lunch. Random person, just pay for their dinner for no reason. Someone's at the petrol station. Here, mate, 50 quid for your petrol. That makes me feel fucking great. Because I'll just make it back by speaking ticket. 2,000 seats, 50 quid a ticket. I could give 2,000 people their petrol. I'll do one speaking event. I'll make that back in a second. It doesn't mean anything to me, money. It's just the way we need to trade, so I need it. But it doesn't mean anything. It means fucking nothing.
And it's actually speaking. You know what? Who says that speaking is actually on stage only? Speaking is in every single thing. Sometimes silence is. You said that with your girlfriend. You were speaking, but you did not say a word, right?
We were communicating via thoughts, like we were not saying anything. We were just looking into each other's eyes. Remember the first day we'd ever met, an hour after meeting her, I kind of knew she was the one. And we were just sort of looking at each other like this, knowing of this is right. We're the same. The female version, she said, I'm the male version of her. She's like, oh my God, you're literally the male version of me. It just felt right. The energy was in a current. We were charged, holding hands. It was a current. It was flowing. We just knew, we felt it. You couldn't explain it, didn't need to explain it. And we closed our eyes and then just for like 25 minutes just sat there in silence and didn't need to speak because we both knew that it's the silence speaking. The silence was speaking. And most states, as you know, they're talking bollocks. So, got any plans this weekend? So, what sport do you like? How many brothers and sisters you got? Bollocks. Who gives a fuck about that? That's no relevance to whether we're going to connect or not. Who gives a fuck whether I like lobster? Just shut up and eat your steak. It's nice, isn't it? Lovely, yeah. God,
Yeah,
fucking hell, just
it
shut
is.
up.
It is to a certain part. It is whenever you bypass conditioning and how things should be. It is always a good thing. Actually, you tend to connect more with people, and it is necessary for the next phase. Is that people need to bypass conditioning because conditioning will fall down because they realize that it's not working anymore. What does that mean? It means conditioning of the old way of thinking. It's like conditioning of that you need to get a job. Right now, all people with jobs, they don't have jobs because it is the opposite of perhaps, for example, somebody who's working in the field of I don't know, like something, for example, that has been given so much importance. Like I feel like I don't know how to explain it, but it is just like now it comes time for the people who've been told that they need to get a job to actually have the best job ever.
Do you know what's amazing? Is you know how you could say everything happens for a reason. If it doesn't happen for a reason, you find a reason to make it positive, right? As I've said, I've had this force my whole life that stopped me from making money for 30 years, and I've always been running my own business, but it's never got me there, right? This year, according to my planet thing, money's coming my way, right? At the same time, the coronavirus has made everyone online, so we're bored. We're now listening to podcasts, listening to YouTube stuff. It's working in my favor. Okay, not in control of this, but when you understand how it's kind of keeping everyone in, and we are looking for this, oh my God, world's coming to an end. Please tell me there's something else, God. And I'm like, yes, there is. You need to do this. You need to do that. You need to eat well, drink well, love yourself, do this, do that. It's almost like when the devil comes along, the angels come too. You know, like this thing about good versus bad. Every time bad comes, good comes. Every time there's a storm, as I said, every time the trees burn down, there's a new tree. Every time there is a tsunami, there's new life in the ocean, for example. Um, I've realized now that I'm not in control, as I said to you. And this thing about timing, it's almost like this is happening, the bad's happening, and I'm launching myself out into the world. I'm ready to go. Mentally, I've been ready to go since 21. But the physical aspects of how I needed to get out there, I didn't know. I thought maybe I need to make a YouTube channel, or maybe I need to do Instagram, or maybe I need to go on reality TV. I didn't know how to do it. And then all of a sudden, podcasts came to me. It just came to me. and I set it up a month ago, and I've done 60 hours worth of talking, right? And it just came to me, and I was like, that's it. Talk show situation, preaching the knowledge. It's perfect. So I'm ready to launch.
Go for it. Go for it. Go for it. Go. And actually, you're gonna be releasing them on batches, right? Like one every now and then.
Yeah, so I used to release 2 a day because I wanted to get enough content out there, right? So now I'm realizing that I get more views when I release 1 a day, because when everyone searches for the podcast, they all listen to the first one. And when I was releasing 2, I was getting all the views on that one. Then I released another one, and the one below was sort of suffering. So now I've realized, okay, I need to do 1 a day. And also that means I can sort of create a backlog ahead of time. So I've already got 1 a day for next week. So essentially, if I do 10 a week, I've got 2 weeks lined up. So eventually I'll have a whole year lined up where then I can do other stuff, and I'm still doing the podcast type of thing. So I can be speaking on stage with the people I've met through the speaking on podcasts whilst podcasts are still going out. So it's almost like you're,
That's very smart.
because eventually I can't be like at home doing 10 a day. I've got to branch out. And I can't just stop doing the podcast. That's like the bread and the butter. That's the foundation. That's like pulling the rug under the floor and the whole fucking table collapses. So I'm doing enough to sort of last me for a year so I can fuck off to Egypt and do a speaking event with you and come back. And it's like I never left. You know what I mean? I'm still doing the podcast. It's going to happen. Let me tell you. It's so close. The fact I saw you on stage, it wasn't what I thought because you were singing, right? And it wasn't the speaking. But the fact that I have gone to that level of consciousness where I thought you were doing speaking events, and I put my mindset in, maybe this is the guy. Maybe this is the guy who's going to hire me. Maybe he knows someone who wants speakers. I've gone up another level, and I keep raising that level. Before you know it, I'll speak to someone who you recommend for another podcast. They will be looking for speakers, and bang, flies me out to Germany, just like my vision board says. I joke about having my own TV channel. So you know on Sky you've got the God channel.
Sky, you have what?
So you know you've got like Punjabi channel or God channel or God TV or Punjabi TV, yeah, or telesales. Each network, each like media network has like a channel, right? Essentially, you own that channel. You can record and stream your own stuff. I always joke because there's always this preacher on there preaching about the holy God and the Holy Spirit, and you know, God compel you, that type of shit, yeah. And they all chap and they cheer. I joke to my dad saying, I'll have my own channel one day. I'll be on there, okay, preaching all my stuff, and it'll be on TV. But rather than the God TV, it'll be like Oliver TV, sort of my own experience and wisdom and how to free yourself. Because you know, you see people who have been through suffering are the ones that change the world. Yeah, I went from like I was in my head my whole life, literally almost killed myself because I wanted to die, and then a voice in my head says it's going to be okay, and it went down and it went all the way up. So people who haven't suffered, they've not reached the end of the road, like the jacket scenario I said. You've got to forget your jacket to freeze your bollocks off to remember next time. And if you haven't felt that coldness, you won't remember your jacket. If people haven't felt pain, they'll be in their comfort zone. Even if it's a shitty life, it's a comfort zone. You've got to lose your house in order to rebuild again. And that's why people who get pushed back and have like, you know, abusive parents and shit, and they need that strive forward and they make it. It seems to be this pattern about you need to suffer in order to spring the opposite direction. Again, this balance of energy.
Yes. Indeed, man. Indeed it is. Indeed it is a balance. And you realize that since the day you were born, it's actually all part of that balancing out. Because since we were born, we think that life is the way that it is. Since like it is the life that we've been conditioned to think it is. But it is all play just from the beginning. It is all just play. It is all just a play. All just a play.
I look at it like this. You've got Snakes and Ladders. You know that board game, Snakes and Ladders?
Yes.
It's a board game. So you start at number 1. You roll the dice. If it rolls 6, you go to step 6. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You roll it again, you get 4. You go to 10. Imagine that if you translate that to human energy, right? I'm connecting to you, phase 1. You know someone who's a speaker, phase 2. That speaker person has an events company, phase 3. That events company hires me, phase 4. I'm on the stage speaking, phase 5. And then I'm hiring my own people, phase 6. Essentially, every time you go along that board to get to 100, which is the top of the game, when you are born, you are going from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to get to 100. Apart from the energy you are when you are born is on that number 0. And if you are a strong energy, you are naturally attracting yourself to strong, equal energies. So if you're an entrepreneur, you'll attract other entrepreneurs. If you're spiritual like me and you, we'll attract more of us. Okay?
Yes.
And so, but when we die, we've mixed with all of these people on the planet and we've created one big empire of spiritual awakening. But when I was born, for example, the only person I knew spiritually awoken was, for example, my dad. And that's being at 0 on the board. As you go through life to 100, you go up that board, you meet people with the same energy as you. That's what I'm trying to say. You think you've got control of your life because you're making those decisions to do that, but you're not. It's the energy attracting you to like-minded energies that you've got no control over. If you trust your gut, you'll attract with those energies. If you don't trust your gut, the universe will find a way of forcing you there. So either way,
Yes.
you just have to surrender and just flow. Because if you're going to be a painter, it will happen. If you're going to be a champion boxer, you will. And if you're going to be the next Jesus like me, I will.
It is all an essence of within, like you need to find out who you are, and then you just it will just be a loving energy. Like it is, you will connect with everybody. You will connect. You understand the words of Jesus. Understand the word of Buddha. You're gonna understand the words of the Prophet. Even everybody, because they all come up from the same source, and it is all just pure love.
Mark, Buddha, Jesus, Allah, Father Christmas, me, you, bloody Wolf Yogi man, all preaching the same thing in their own language. It's all the same thing. No one's right. We're all connected to the same vibration, the same energy, the same brain neurons, just different language, how you understand it. It's all the same damn
Yeah,
thing. And it all comes down to
yes,
love, harmony, 528 resonance with the earth.
yes, definitely.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure, brother.
Is this the end?
It is actually. I think it is actually. Yeah, it is. Yes, yeah. Let's go for it because I've been awake since 7 a.m. I'm starting to fall asleep.
Okay, just
Actually, I'm
quickly plug anything you want to plug. Website, social media, podcasts.
uh I'm gonna send them to you on Messenger. How about that?
Do you want to say them now? I've got a million people listening on the podcast, so a million people will hear your website.
Okay. Well, you can actually follow me on Instagram. It's GABYBISHARA, Gabby Bishara. And on Facebook, you can go. Actually, it's Gabriel, but you can go to my profile. You can follow me on my profile and my page as well. So it's Gabby Bishara as well. So you're gonna find everything there. YouTube, I'm still to create a YouTube. I had YouTubes, but I had to let them go. So yeah, so it's Instagram, Gabby Bishara, Facebook, Gabby Bishara.
Right, I'm going to press stop and I'm going to say goodbye. Wait right there.